Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Thank you for having this conversation with me. I would like to talk to you about how you've used solution focus and your ideas on how to create a good workplace and how to communicate well in the workplace in organizations. And you
Yes.
have all of your books,
Yeah.
not all of them, but
Yeah.
many, many.
But that's nice. That's nice. Yes. It's a passion, and it's related to the fact that that I believe that the people could be much happier in their work, and if they were more happier, then maybe companies and organizations would be more successful in their work. Actually, there's a lot of research now to prove that if you do an intervention to improve the relationships between the bosses and the employers and the employers amongst themselves. If you can create a happier workplace where people get along better with each other and cooperate better with each other, then the benefits can be counted in dollars or euros. And I think the time has come when actually those who make the decisions actually have become convinced that this is the case.
Hmm.
So psychology has a lot to offer to organizations.
I think the one that you often talk about, or where you talk most about happiness in the workplace, is the Twin Star book.
Yes, we have with Tapani, my colleague, we have always been thinking about what would be a good way to present these solution-focused ideas to organizations. It's not easy to figure out how do you present the ideas to people so they get it and they like to learn these
Hmm.
things. So you have to be very kind of simple in describing the things that we use in our coaching, in our psychotherapy or counseling that we call a solution-focused approach.
Because I guess in business people are interested in using these things and not much in the
Philosophy.
why philosophy or why it works. I
No,
mean,
they want
they're interested in.
hands-on. They want to have hands-on ideas, and fortunately, solution-focused ideas are quite hands-on, and it's actually possible to explain the ideas in a simple way, and that has been our passion to create simple ways of presenting the ideas, and we have found that two good PowerPoint presentations will not do the trick.
Mm-mm.
So no matter how well you speak or how eloquent you are and how beautifully you explain wonderful ideas, it doesn't really matter. I think always better is to make people do things, to have them discuss things and kind of put yourself a little bit in the background. So over the years, we've developed a lot of exercises that serve the purpose of getting people to understand the ideas that we would like to teach people.
And I've myself used a lot of your exercises in trainings, like the escalation exercise to teach people how to not escalate a conflict, but
Yeah,
to
that's a
de-escalate,
good one. Yeah,
or the your how to criticize people with the
yeah,
two hands of now how not to do it and how to do it well. I really like this idea of contrasting usual behavior with how you could do it a little bit better. I think
yes,
that's
and then
always
let
very
people.
funny.
That's nice that you said. It's like showing people two different or maybe even more different ways of communicating something to another person, and then having them experience, like almost like a bodily experience. I often ask, how did that feel for you? We do role plays. They don't, people in businesses, they don't like to call them games. Sometimes they even say, you're not going to make us play some games, are you?
Yeah, they
That
just do they do
no,
the same.
no,
Yeah.
no games, just experiments. We do experiments in order to feel the difference between different ways of saying things to other people. If you want to influence another person, how would you want to do it in a way that feels acceptable to the person you are trying to influence? And things like that. It's basically we are teaching communication skills. But, the words keep changing all the time. If you say communication skills, then maybe nobody's interested because that's
Mm.
a word. that's passé. And now we have another word that is maybe more popular. So, for example, lately we have been speaking about cooperation skills or collaboration skills. Like we all, not only the managers, but everybody in an organization could improve a little bit. There's always some room for improvement in your way of communicating with other people so that collaboration becomes possible.
And that's kind of valid for any kind of organization, right? So it's really about how to work productively together and feel happy about it and not get disturbed too much by conflicts or people working against each other rather than with each other. And you can use it in a kindergarten, you can use it in a school, you can use it in business, you can use it in bank, you can use it anywhere, really.
Yeah, we're actually talking about human skills, or being a human being with other people, team player skills. I mean, the words keep changing all the time. Almost like every half a year you have to change the vocabulary in order to fit what people are talking about at that current time. So we have been using the word working environment, how to create a successful working environment. The word teamwork used to be very fashionable at one time. Now it's kind of passé, so you don't say teamwork because it gives people wrong impressions. So constantly searching for a vocabulary that would fit people, but always teaching the same things.
Yeah, and I mean, it works, right? So, and you kind of have to give it a label that people can find.
Yeah.
So when they want your kind of thing, where will they look? And you have to call it the way they will find it.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to tap into the vocabulary of the day.
And so tell me, I know you've done a lot of workshops teaching.
Yes.
These things. Can you tell me a little bit about where you've recently done this, and in an organization for actual, I don't know, business people or teachers or wherever?
Yes, I think there are like two different types of teaching opportunities. You have those opportunities where you're actually working with one team or a group of people or a certain organization. But many times I work in a context where actually people come from different organizations and different companies, and they come to a lecture or they come to a workshop, and what I have done recently even more is teaching other people to teach the same stuff. So there's like a hierarchy where I'm teaching people to teach, or maybe the word teach is already wrong. We are not actually teaching anybody. We are inviting people to think about their own communication and to look at possible ways of becoming better, or even a little bit better at solving problems, spreading joy in the organization, being kind to each other, solving conflicts, and so on.
And do you have an example of where an organization started using your ideas and benefited from it? Either you teaching yourself or somebody that, uses your material and taught or invited to experience an organization?
I have to think about it. Of course, I get a lot of positive feedback from people who have been to our trainings and workshops, and they come now, many years have gone by, and they can come and say, look, I've been using your ideas ever since I went to your workshop, or I went to Tapani's workshop, 10 years ago, and then I moved to another company, and now we are using these ideas. So we get a lot of feedback from people who say that they benefited from the ideas. And one of the things that I like to teach to people that comes from solution-focused thinking is the idea that in order for people to be happy and to not be stressed and to not have a burnout. So this is one of my main teachings. I always say this. Even if I have just 1.5 hour lecture, I always make sure to talk about this. Is that in order for you to be happy at your work, you need to feel that people appreciate what you do. And I think everybody agrees to that. You need to feel that my contribution to this organization, to this workplace, is appreciated by other people. And sometimes people say, in order for me to have that feeling, I need to get more positive feedback. So they are like in search of positive feedback. If I only get more positive feedback, then I will. And then we are teaching, managers to give more positive feedback. Give your people positive feedback so they will feel appreciated. Then they will be happy about their work and they will even, work harder. So I have said that maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it's not a good idea to concentrate on positive feedback. Maybe people should do what we do in solution-focused therapy and coaching. Mm-hmm. We don't necessarily give a lot of positive feedback at all, but we are very curious about successes. Mm-hmm. And somehow it's like an automatic thing that if anybody is interested in your successes and see, what have you done that you are proud of in your work today, last week, last month? And if we can get that conversation going in an organization, the manager can do that, but also employers can do it with each other. And if they start to talk about successes, they will have that feeling of appreciation because it's like a byproduct. It's like a byproduct of any time you talk about any success. So you will probably feel appreciated, especially if you not only talk about your successes, but you also thank others for having made your success possible. So if you combine the feeling of pride, I succeeded, and you combine it with gratitude, gratefulness, that you are grateful to other people that they contributed to your success. So that could be a kind of a key to creating this energetic feeling in an organization that so many people are looking for. So that's one of the things that I like to teach to people. And then every now and then, you hear from people who have understood that idea. You actually teach it through an exercise, not through telling, not the way I did now. So not by explaining it, but actually giving people a chance to experience how it does feel when you speak about your successes and you do acknowledge other people for having contributed to your success. You just give them the experience. And then people said, this felt really good and gave me a lot of energy and made me feel more connected with the other people, made me feel more willing to cooperate with them in the future too. So this is something that people come back with feedback and they say that they have started to do that in one way or the other. But there are so many ways of doing it. There was one organization that actually decided to have every year an Oscar celebration. I think I've written the story in one of my books. But it was so fun because I went to their workplace. I was visiting. I was like a coach for a team. And when I came there, I saw that they had like food on the tables covered with plastic, and they had nice dresses hanging in a rack. They had posters on the walls of film stars, and they had lights, like shot lights or what is it called. And I was like, what's going on here?
Oh, that's so cool.
And then they said, we have Oscar celebration. I said, what? What's an Oscar celebration? And they said, well, it's your idea. I go, my idea? And I said, yeah, you always talk about the importance of, celebrating and then giving credit. So tonight we have an Oscar celebration here, and everybody will get an Oscar. And for whatever they have done well, or they are...
So it's like a specific Oscar.
Yes,
like if
so you would be given, would say, Kirsten, you get an Oscar because you have been the sunshine of our workplace, or you've taken care of making the things work out, or whatever you've done that you get the Oscar for. And then you get the Oscar in that celebration, and then you have to give a speech.
Oh, you have to thank your mother and your dog.
Yeah. But maybe not your mother and your dog so
I'm
much.
just kidding.
You have to thank your colleagues. And you have to say that your colleagues made it possible for you to whatever it was that you got. So then I've been telling the story every now and then, in lectures and so on. So once I was telling this story again, so one lady, puts up her hand and says, and I asked, like, what do you want to say? And she said, "You are talking about our workplace." And guess what? We have had that tradition ever since all these years. It was like several years. And we every year have that celebration, and everybody gets an Oscar. And the Oscar is less important than the speech after the Oscar.
Oh, that's so nice. And it's so fun, if you can get people to actually, dress up and it's nice.
Yes, it's nice, and it becomes a metaphor. So it's not only that, the whole thing is a metaphor, because once a year an Oscar celebration, I don't think it does the trick.
No,
but the Oscar celebration becomes like a mindset. It's like a symbolic representation of how we want to be with each other. So you can have a mini Oscar celebration every day, where people actually do share their successes. So the kind of a shortcut to solution-focused organizational culture, and that's what they speak about, culture. You create like an organizational corporate culture. If people want to have an idea, what does it mean to have a solution-focused organizational culture? So I say it means many things, but let's start with one thing that it certainly means. It's other things too, but one thing that it certainly means is that we become more conscious, more aware, more interested, more focused on things that we do that we succeed with. And in order for this to happen, we have to become aware of smaller successes too. Because if we think of success as something big, something huge, something wonderful that we've done, then there are not so many successes on a daily basis. But if we start to count successes, that I call them mini successes, and I often say, if you don't have any mini successes, micro successes will do too. And somebody added in one workshop and says, what about nano successes? Do they count too? And I said, yes, they also count. We do need to change the mindset and start to look at our successes, because we derive a lot of energy, a lot of positive feelings, a lot of appreciation, and not only that, we also derive a lot of learning. The concept learning organizations. What is a learning organization? An organization where people do share their successes. They pick up ideas. Oh, interesting. Maybe I could try something like that too. So we are in the business of helping people to create a more, it would be understatement to say happy cultures, but yeah. You help me find the right words.
Well, it ends up being very productive, because everybody learns from everybody else, and this best practice sharing, or whatever the current word for that is, and you end up feeling better at work, so you're less distracted by other things that usually distract people. When I'm called in as a coach to solve a conflict or something, usually people spend a lot of energy on things that are not their work, but on other things where they're not appreciated, or where they feel their boss is not giving them enough appreciation, or where they think that they're doing a better job than everybody else is seeing, or et cetera, et cetera. That's usually where a coach is called in, or where a team coach is called in.
Yeah.
And if you can avoid all that by being a little bit more solution focused, like you just described, I guess that's a very good investment.
Yeah, I think one of the goals for our work is to create a culture of communication that allows people to like each other. It helps if people like each other, or let's say they don't hate each other, as a minimum. But if they like each other, then they like to cooperate with each other. And I think it produces liking.
So you have
just
kind
focusing
of
on successes.
You can just do like this, 1 second. I'm just drawing something. You just put this on your forehead. You see?
License to like. Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think you can make it happen artificially, like you could say people, say to each other one thing that you like about each other. I mean, you can do that too, and I'm sure many coaches and consultants do exercises like that. But I think is more natural somehow to focus on successes, and then as a byproduct of a good success conversation, you get that, you get appreciation, and you get liking too.
And it does become very phony if you say, okay, today, or as a manager, you say, okay, today I'm going to give everybody at least three sentences of praise. And I mean, the good thing is if you want to do it, you start to focus on what's working well. So that works. Yeah. But it does become very, in Germany, it's not culturally appropriate. Maybe in other countries it's more appropriate. But if a German manager suddenly starts telling everybody how great they are, they'll go, he's been to a seminar, he's been to a workshop. Exactly. Ooh, be careful.
We have exactly the same in Finland, and we constantly have to struggle with finding the right balance where it feels natural and it feels like right, and people go like, this was good, and this felt right. And I think that could be a shortcut, like rather than say to people that they have to start to give compliments to each other, you say, don't do that. It may feel phony or something, or at least it may feel phony for some people. Just do it more simple. Start discuss your successes, share them, but remember that when you share your successes, you have to acknowledge your collaborators, your colleagues. Because if you don't, then again you get problems. You cannot walk into a workplace and say, guess who succeeded again despite you guys. They will hate you. But if you go to a workplace and you say, I think the project that I did went really well. I really have to thank you and you for your ideas, for your support. And everybody becomes happy. And then they also want to share their successes. So it's not only sharing successes, but it's sharing successes coupled with acknowledgement that makes a big difference in organizations. It's very simple. And I think everybody can get that idea, particularly if you practice a little bit by doing some exercise, which, where you can feel the energy from sharing successes. So that has been one of the things that I usually like to teach to people. But there are a few other things too that, but this is a good place to start.
Okay. So there are how to share appreciation and how to avoid burnout by sharing appreciation, how to be happier and more productive in the workplace by sharing success stories and by acknowledging others' contributions. That's one little part of what you teach, and there is so much more that you teach that can be, can I do a little advertisement for you, that can be all learned when Ben is doing workshops. And a lot of these ideas are in this book. Okay. Well, thank you, Ben, for this wonderful conversation. I think this will be very useful. I hope we can have you in Germany sometime this year.
I hope so too.
Or next year, yeah. And so people can learn not only this little bit that you just talked about, but all of your beautiful ideas.
All right, that would be lovely. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.